I really think that we've just been able to encapsulate the amount of difference in not only in my voice but in the kind of person I've become over these past 2.5 years.
In the landscape of reality television talent shows, few moments have captured the world's imagination quite like the audition of a nervous 17-year-old boy who walked onto the Britain's Got Talent stage in 2012. His name was Jonathan Antoine, and his story, far from being a simple rags-to-riches tale, represents one of the most complex narratives of triumph, heartbreak, and personal transformation in modern entertainment history. This is not just about a viral moment or a competition result. This is about a young man who had to navigate extraordinary circumstances, face devastating setbacks, and ultimately discover who he truly was beneath all the noise and expectation. Before Jonathan Antoine became a household name, he was simply a bullied teenager trying to survive. The torment began when he was merely 4 years old, a painful reality that shaped his entire childhood. Growing up in Hainaut, Essex, with a police inspector father and a supportive mother, Jonathan's early years were characterized by relentless mockery. His weight, his appearance, his very existence became targets for cruel classmates. While many children experience bullying to some degree, Jonathan's experience transcended typical playground conflicts. The psychological toll was profound, and like many young people facing such circumstances, he found solace in the things that made him feel safe: food and music. These two elements would become constants in his life, one a comfort, the other a salvation. Everything changed when Jonathan enrolled at West Hatch High School in Chigwell at age 11. There, he encountered someone who would fundamentally alter the trajectory of his life: singing coach Jenny Ewington. This educator possessed a rare gift, the ability to see beyond the exterior and recognize the extraordinary talent hiding within this broken boy. She began working with him on classical pieces, including Where is Love from Oliver and Panis Angelicus. What emerged from those early training sessions was nothing short of magical. Jonathan's voice was remarkable, possessing a richness and maturity that seemed impossible for someone his age. Word began to spread through the school about the bullied boy with an incredible voice. By age 14, Jonathan had auditioned for the 4 major music conservatories in London and been accepted by every single one. He chose the prestigious Royal Academy of Music's junior program, a decision that demonstrated both his talent level and his dedication to his craft. The recognition he received through music competitions further validated his potential. At the 2010 Stratford and East London Music Festival, Jonathan performed Bring Him Home from Les Miserables and achieved an unprecedented score of 98 out of 100, the highest in the festival's history. The boy who had been tormented for being different was now being celebrated for his gift. By 2011, he had performed Ave Maria at the prestigious Royal Festival Hall in London. These accomplishments were more than just accolades. They were evidence that his voice possessed something truly special, something that could eventually change his life completely. Then came March 24, 2012, a date that would redefine Jonathan's existence in ways both wonderful and complicated. Stepping onto the Britain's Got Talent stage alongside Charlotte Giaconelli, a 16-year-old who shared his passion for classical music, Jonathan faced his greatest moment of vulnerability yet. The duo called themselves Jonathan and Charlotte, and they presented themselves as an unexpected classical crossover act. What happened next became one of the most watched auditions in the show's history. When the judges first saw them, skepticism was evident. Simon Cowell, known for his harsh critiques, made a dismissive comment that would haunt Jonathan for years to come. But then Jonathan opened his mouth, and everything changed. The performance of The Prayer was transcendent. The audience erupted mid-verse. Cowell's expression transformed from skepticism to absolute astonishment. He compared Jonathan to Luciano Pavarotti, one of the greatest tenors in history. Within hours, the performance had gone viral globally, transforming Jonathan from an unknown teenager into an international sensation literally overnight. The path forward seemed clear, yet it was anything but simple. The duo advanced through the competition, reaching the finals, where they performed The Prayer once again to thunderous applause. However, they did not win. They finished second to Ashley and Pudsey, a dancing dog act. For many, this might have felt like a devastating disappointment. Yet, in the peculiar mathematics of talent show economics, coming second proved more valuable than winning could have been. Within days, Simon Cowell's record label, Psycho, offered Jonathan and Charlotte a £1 million recording contract. Their debut album together, released in September 2012, reached number 5 on the UK charts and sold over 250,000 copies. Suddenly, the bullied teenager was a recording artist with international recognition. Success came swiftly and intensely. Documentary crews followed them around. Television specials showcased their tours through France and Italy. The album received critical acclaim, with Jonathan's voice described as velvety and creamy, with a uniqueness that captivated listeners. A second album, Perhaps Love, was released in October 2013, also reaching number 5 on the charts. However, beneath the surface of this fairy tale, tensions were growing. Jonathan wanted to pursue classical opera exclusively, while Charlotte felt drawn to musical theater. These weren't conflicts born of malice. Rather, they represented the natural divergence of two young artists with different artistic visions. When your teenagers thrust into international stardom, navigating such fundamental differences becomes extraordinarily difficult. On February 2, 2014, the announcement came that shattered millions of hearts worldwide. Jonathan and Charlotte were splitting up. The duo that had sold hundreds of thousands of albums together built a devoted fan base called the Fantoins and captured the hearts of people globally, were ending their partnership. Both had been offered solo record deals by Sony Classical, and they chose to pursue separate careers. The official statement attempted to frame it positively, emphasizing that both were excited about their new solo opportunities. Yet media outlets suggested something more painful had occurred, implying that one had abandoned the other. The truth was more nuanced. Two friends with different artistic dreams had reached a fork in the road and made the difficult choice to walk separate paths. Years later, Jonathan would explain the real motivations behind the split. He described how Charlotte had raised his confidence to a level that allowed him to perform on BGT, and together they had created something beautiful. But fundamentally, neither of them was suited to be a long-term ensemble act. There was only so much a classical crossover duo could do before exhausting their artistic possibilities. Jonathan felt he had gained the necessary confidence and self-understanding to pursue a solo career. Remarkably, after the split, Jonathan and Charlotte barely spoke. Two people who had been best friends since 2006, who had built their dreams together, became strangers. The rumors about whether they had been romantically involved persisted, despite both confirming they were only professional partners and friends. Jonathan's solo career began with his album Tenore in October 2014. The question loomed large. Could he succeed without Charlotte? The answer was an emphatic yes. Tenore reached number 1 on the Classical Artist album chart, making Jonathan the youngest tenor ever to achieve this feat. It also cracked the UK Pop Top 15. His second solo album, Believe, released in August 2016, featured classical arias and original collaborations, including contributions inspired by Michelle Doucette, a Canadian woman Jonathan had met online and called the light of my life. In 2020, he released Going the Distance, a concept album recorded with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra that aired as a television special on PBS. This album featured his first recording of Nessun Dorma, one of the most challenging pieces in the classical repertoire, which he performed brilliantly. Yet beneath the sold-out concerts and chart-topping albums, Jonathan was fighting invisible battles. Success does not erase trauma, and the scars from his childhood bullying ran profoundly deep. Around the time of his BGT debut, Jonathan was diagnosed with acute depression, a condition so severe that it caused him to cancel a major performance at the Royal Albert Hall. He also opened up about a toxic relationship he had been in around age 18 with a girl who struggled with serious mental health issues and self-harm tendencies. For someone already battling his own depression, being in such a relationship proved devastating. His family, his father John, mother Tracy, and sister Charlotte, became his constant support system, backing him through every struggle. Jonathan became a mental health advocate, speaking openly about depression and joining awareness campaigns. He co-authored children's books, including Jonathan and the Porcupine, which addressed anti-bullying messages. The boy who had been tormented was now helping others understand they were not alone. Yet his struggles extended beyond mental health. Jonathan had always battled his weight, using food as comfort during his darkest times. Around 2018 to 2019, he made a conscious decision that enough was enough. Managing a thyroid condition and armed with new determination, Jonathan embarked on a serious weight loss journey that would transform not just his physical appearance, but his entire relationship with his body and health. Then came April 2nd, 2022, shortly after his 27th birthday, when Jonathan received a diagnosis that would completely recontextualize his life: autism spectrum disorder. On Autism Awareness Day in 2024, Jonathan publicly shared this on Instagram, explaining that recontextualizing a life already lived was both scary and liberating. Suddenly, so many things made sense: the social struggles, the intense focus on music, the way he processed the world differently, the challenges in relationships. His brain simply worked differently, which wasn't wrong. It was just different. Understanding this about himself helped explain why bullying had affected him so profoundly and why he had always felt slightly out of step with the world. Between 2020 and 2024, Jonathan underwent a dramatic physical transformation that stunned the entertainment world. He lost between 70 and 120 pounds through consistent lifestyle changes, walking 10,000 steps every single day, managing his thyroid condition, and fundamentally changing his relationship with food. By 2024, he had dropped to around 210 pounds, looking healthier, more confident, and more comfortable in his own skin than ever before. This transformation wasn't about meeting anyone else's standards. It was about his own health and well-being. The commitment to daily walking became almost meditative, a discipline he applied with the same dedication he had always brought to his vocal training. His fans celebrated not just the physical changes, but his honesty about the journey, his willingness to share both struggles and victories. As of 2026, Jonathan Antoine has entered what he describes as a powerful new era. In January, he released All of Me, a stunning reimagining of John Legend's hit that showcased both his classical training and contemporary sensibilities. His upcoming album Speaking to You features tracks like Sound of Silence and Impossible Dream. He continues to build his devoted fanbase, the Fantoins, through social media engagement and live streams. His Christmas album Christmasland was released in December 2024. His estimated net worth sits at $4 million, earned through album sales, concert performances, and television appearances. Not bad for the boy who had been told he would never amount to anything. Charlotte Giaconelli transitioned to musical theater, appearing in West End productions including Sweet Charity and Heathers the Musical. The two rarely, if ever, speak to one another. Jonathan's relationship with Michelle Doucette eventually ended, though he has kept the details private. A documentary about Jonathan's life titled Beyond the High Sea has been mentioned as being in development. Throughout everything, Jonathan continues to advocate for mental health awareness, neurodiversity acceptance, and anti-bullying initiatives. Recent photographs and social media posts show him looking genuinely happy, comfortable in his own skin in a way that seemed impossible during his teenage years. Jonathan Antoine's story is not fundamentally about fame or viral moments or competition results. It is a story about survival, growth, and the courage to refuse being broken by circumstance. From the bullied 4-year-old in Essex to the viral BGT sensation, from the devastating professional split to his triumphant solo career, from battling depression to discovering his autism, from transforming his physical health to embracing his authentic self. His journey represents constant evolution and remarkable resilience. Jonathan did not merely endure these challenges. He thrived through them. Every struggle deepened his voice and strengthened his spirit. When you watch Jonathan Antoine perform today, you are witnessing not just a singer, but a survivor and advocate, and a man who refused to allow the world's cruelty to define his destiny. Like, subscribe, and follow for more.